Welcome to Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department headquarters for our annual Safety, Trust, and Accountability address. We do this every year. Really encouraging to see just what a turnout we've gotten here this morning. I guess it really underscores the notion that the Chief's been advancing for quite some time, that public safety is a shared effort, that police can't realistically shoulder that responsibility on their own. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Before we do get going, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Marcus Jones. To his left there, we have our mayor, Mayor Lyles. I understand a number of elected officials are also going to be present in the next couple of minutes. We have members from our Crime Stoppers Board here, our Police Foundation, Citizens Review Board. Want to thank all of them, in addition to all the community members who've come out and supported us like they do every year. Yeah, I think it's any big secret that 2019 brought with it some challenges, especially on the violent crime front. Chief Putney is going to go into those challenges in great detail in just a couple of moments. But he's also going to discuss the tremendous work, the commitment, and the opportunities that also occurred back in 2019 and how we leverage those. He'll outline those crime statistics, the yearly crime statistics, provide important context around those crime statistics, assign very important perspective and data that everyone should really pay close attention to. I think the bigger thing that should really get lost on any of us is that, this goes beyond percentages. Crime impacts people, and none of us should ever lose sight of that. So with that, I'd like to introduce Police Chief Kurt Putney.
Good morning. Let's see if I can do this without my glasses. As Rob said, it's no surprise. 2019 was a challenge for us in the area of violent crime. What you may not know, though, is there was a lot of work, not just by the officers here at CMPD who did some fantastic work, but a lot of community members, some of whom are here, and I'm going to recognize them as we move forward. Overall, though, for the year, we finished up in crime overall by 6%. That represents a 5% increase in property crime, but as we've been talking about all year, a 12% overall in violent. Most noticeable was 107 murders in our jurisdiction last year. I told you I don't like talking about that number because that number represents a loss of life to 107 families. I don't think a number does it justice. Our officers, our detectives continue to work hard to bring closure to those families. We've achieved about an 80% clearance rate overall this year. We're proud of that, but it's not good enough. And I'm not satisfied with that number until we divide that homicide number by 0. You might ask, why do we have so many? I wish I could answer that question. What I can tell you is the reasons were petty, minor arguments over drugs, over social media posts, over small amounts of money, $20 in some situations. So all of those are tragic losses of life over very, very minor disagreements. No surprise that preventing violent crime is a high priority for us. Crime prevention is our mission. That's not a soundbite, that's an absolute fact. That's how we approach it. Just to give you some context around the work that our officers committed to and accomplished over the year of 2019. More than 3,000 violent suspects were arrested last year. That's an increase of about 19% in the year before. They made 18,000 arrests. 18,000 arrests overall, representing a 6% increase over 2018, and 2018 was a productive year as well. They took 2,100 illegal firearms off the street. That's 240 more than the year before, and again, 2018 was a productive year. Here's something you might not know when we talk about de-escalation. We talk about our engagements. 10,700 armed encounters, 10,700 people with weapons, guns, were encountered by our officers in 2019. All but 5 were successfully de-escalated. Again, that's 10,700 times our officers put their lives on the line for you. They also engage with the community about 200,000 citizen contacts in the course of the year, 400,000 calls for service, a total of about 600,000 total interactions across this jurisdiction. With 600,000 interactions, we only had 121 complaints of misbehavior. 75 of those were self-reported. So if there's any idea that we don't police ourselves, you're mistaken. I talk about the 121 complaints, but I also have to mention we were up by 8% in commendations, a total of 485 times. Members in this community reached out to officially say thank you to a police officer. I encourage us to do that even more often. Make no mistake, there was a lot of work to be done in 2019. And I can tell you, I want to show you actually a few of the people who did some of that work. They represent the masses. Officers like Officer Taylor with the University City Division. Officer Taylor, where are you, sir? Don't be so calm. This isn't a funeral. It's okay to clap for the work that they've done when we talk about their work. Thank you. Officer Taylor de-escalated a situation, one in which he encountered an armed subject on a robbery call of a Goodwill store. That was one of the many de-escalations, the over 10,000 that I spoke of. Congratulations to Officer Taylor. You can go back now. As he goes away, I like to call Officer Balcom from the Independence Division up. His diligent work led to the arrest of 2 suspects who were robbing members of our Latino community on Charlotte's east side. Had an issue with that. This gentleman right here before you took the initiative, made an arrest to impact those victims of robbery offenses over on the east side of our city. So with that, I want to thank you for that work and congratulations, sir. Good work, Officer Balcom. Not to be outdone, Detective Penny from North Tryon Division. Her great work resulted in the arrest of several suspects for shooting 2 people during a robbery at the dollar store. Congratulations, Detective Penny. Good work. This is just a sample, an example of the fantastic work that we're so proud of. We all should be proud of that work. But it's not just the people doing the work. We also try to do our work smarter. We use technology. For instance, the real-time crime center that I speak of. We have officers who assisted in over 1,700 calls for service with video footage. 707 times they connected those video pieces of evidence to cases, resulting in 546 stolen vehicles being recovered, 102 fugitives being located, and 38 missing people being located. So fantastic work using technology as well. It wasn't just us. I keep saying it's about partnerships. Our community did great work this past year as well. 3,100 anonymous tips coming into Crime Stoppers. I would applaud that. That work, initiated by community members, led to the arrest of 111 suspects. Their crimes range from assaults, minor assaults, up to robbery, and even to homicide. It resulted in 19 illegal guns coming off the streets of Charlotte. Yes, thank you. I do have somebody who's not asleep. The payout to community members for this anonymous information was in excess of $22,000. To our Crime Stoppers board, we can't thank you enough for that work. Also, you've heard me talk repeatedly to the point where I'm tired of it, and I think the community justice partners are too, about accountability. I've been challenged in that area by a lot of people in this room. I appreciate that. Don't let the look on my face fool you. I'm more receptive than you might think. But I can tell you, we can't do this work by ourselves. Partnership has to be a mutual endeavor. And this year, as you know from last year, talking about the whole justice system being accountable, there's some good work moving forward. I can assure you by the end of first quarter, you will see, for lack of a better term, what we call a accountability report card. You know, we talk to you every quarter and every end of year like today. We tell you about the work that we've done. We tell you about the cases. We tell you about the successes and things that we fell short on. We expect our community justice partners to do likewise. I can tell you, last month, I got a firm commitment from the district attorney and the chief judge from Meriwether and Chief Judge Elizabeth Trosh that they're going to come on board and do that as well. It's not just about what we didn't do well or how things fell through the cracks. It's also celebrating the work. What you don't know about those two is they're highly involved in the community engagement work that we do here to change lives, to break the cycle of violence. So that report card is coming your way, hopefully by the end of first quarter. Kind of aggressive, but I'm speaking for them, and they're not here to dispute it. So let it be done. Also in accountability, I got a lot of people to thank. First and foremost, our officers internally. Came up with the idea based on all of the feedback that I've been getting from this community around how we use force, when we use force, and to what degree. So we wanted to step back and really absorb that. Our officers have been hearing it too, and they really led the way, not only in creating the directive, but drafting it, giving me critical feedback that we needed as an organization. But there are some other members too. And this is not just words on a page. This is a philosophical commitment that we're making. People like our External Advisory Council. I see some of you here today. Thank you. Your feedback's much appreciated. Safe Coalition, NAACP, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Citizens Review Board. I really appreciate those spirited debates, let's call them, that we had to really come up with, I think, some fundamental changes that are going to make us safer. That also talk about not only do we do things the right way, we do them to the right degree at the right times. That was a heavy lift, and I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. There has to be an investment, though. If we're going to break the cycle of violence, we got to be serious about it. I know the city is dedicating funds. I'd like to thank the city manager, the county manager, who's coming on board to do this work too, but it was spearheaded by our mayor, Mayor Vilas. Mayor, thank you for that leadership. There we go. We're getting better. We're getting better. Well, I just think they like you, Mayor. They don't like me as much. And right now, we don't have a title, but it's going to be the violence reduction strategy that we're implementing. It's going to be community-based, evidence-based, and community-supported. Community-supported. It has to start there. We're a community policing organization. It's going to be data-driven, so this will not be random sweeps. This will be strategic and intentional. And it also has a commitment that we need for funding. The city has been doing a lot of work in this area. There was a pilot last year. Lacey Williams is not here. Have to mention her name with the Jump Start grant. Fantastic work. The city manager has committed $500,000 to that. I'm asking the county to commit some funds as well. I'm not going to commit them today, but you know where to find them, because this work is not for free. Although some people have been doing it, basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. People like Sean Corbett and Big Red, barbers, local business people, using their own money to help mentor people and bring people into their line of business to be barbers. Sean Corbett, who you've heard me talk about like a brother to me, who is the mastermind behind Cops and Barbers. He even connects one of his fledgling barbers to our rookies in the police academy. So they go through together to build deep relationships. Nothing that we do should be surface level. But he should not be begging for funding for that work. The funding should go to people such as those. Greg Jackson, Hill Charlotte. Where are you, Greg? You can clap for yourself. I can't say enough. Greg was a know-it-all protester who had plenty of words for me a few years back. My challenge to him was meet those words with your work. On the east side, he has done just that. Appreciate it, brother. Miss Tisha Boyd, I don't know if I see her. Good, I can talk about her. We went to school together. She is an amazing woman doing fantastic work with the Promise Youth Development. She doesn't turn anybody away. Basically, from 6 to 18, she's working with young people, teaching them how to break that cycle of violence, how to become successful members of our community. Thank you, Ms. T. Arkevius Armstrong. It feels like family, y'all, and I apologize for that, but I told you we do deep relationships. He's a person who spent time incarcerated and now is breaking the cycle to prison by the work he's doing in some of our most challenged schools and out on the streets of Charlotte. Hats off to him as well. Jamal Tate, who's one of our entrepreneurial ambassadors, I believe, with inspirational insights. He's doing work with those first-time low-level nonviolent felons who we start from the beginning. There's 100 hours that they do in their summer, their weekends, and when they graduate, the DA, Mr. Merriweather, even gets the charges dismissed and walks them all the way through to expungement to give them a true second chance as they deserve it. Thank you to Jamal Tate. We can clap for him too. I'm going to double up on the Jamals. We have Jamal Kennard here as well. Lakewood, great work as well. Mentoring young people, breaking the cycle. You know, community engagement has been a priority for us as an organization. We have 60 programs. Over the course of the year, we did 2,500 community meetings and activities. 2,500 times. We should be tired of each other by now, y'all. 200,000 participants came in and engaged with us. About a quarter of the whole city came out. I want to give you a snapshot of some of those initiatives from 2019, one of which is Willie Ratchford, Community Relations, is here. Thank you, sir, for taking the lead on some of the work we've done, diverting 50 at-risk youth through CMS to schools to conflict resolution, breaking the cycle. Them seeing issues that they're having in school, Willie and his people getting them the skills to break the cycle of violence through conflict resolution, having positive outcomes. Thank you, sir, for that work. CPCRT, yes, I'm going to brag on that again. Community Policing Crisis Response Team. Fantastic work, launched back in April of this year. They've responded to over 2,100 calls for service, made more than 900 referrals of people in crisis. The fact that I'm most proud of is only 2% of the people we've encountered have had to be arrested. I told you we can't arrest our way out of this. That's living evidence of what can work when we connect with clinicians, professionals, to do work to help people who are having crises. Youth diversion, I continue to talk about that as well. This year we diverted 765 young people, which is an increase of 42% from 2018. I have to tell you this data point, 90% of the people who graduate that program do not commit further crime. There it is. Near and dear to my heart, the Youth Envision Academy. It's an 8-week program where we show youth, it's about 20 kids, all of the opportunities that they have in the private and public sector here in Charlotte for employment opportunities. This year, we graduated 40 because the private funders, and I'm going to call them out, the Gamble Foundation and Honeywell, new to the city, are committed to funding this program for the next 3 years. Congratulations for that partnership. Right Moves for Youth, started by one of our own, Officer Shepherd-Grill. 1,600 students participated. 99% were promoted to the next grade level. 99%. That's a big deal. Lastly, bridge the difference in ambassadors. We know what we're going to face in 2020. We know in August we're going to have the Republican National Convention, and one thing we wanted to do was prepare our people internally for what we're going to experience from external forces. We know it's coming. Bridge the difference. We had 32 events and activities. 32, y'all. 32. 5,000 people we encountered and participated. We have over 450 volunteer ambassadors, some of which are here. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Their role is pretty simple. They're going to greet people. They're going to smile. They're going to show people where to eat and spend their money in our city. And then we're going to escort them back to the airport and let them leave. Looking forward to a great year there. In closing, 2020 is going to be a big year for us. It really is. I've given you some numbers, but the story behind the numbers are the lives that are positively being impacted by the partnerships and the work we're doing to prevent crime. There is plenty of crime to respond to. We shall continue to do that. Our officers, I told you the data points, are doing some fantastic work to that end. It's not going to stop. 2020 is going to be even better. What are your questions for me?
Chief, what will the report card, what will be the subjects that
Yes.
the judge and will have to check off and grade?
Very good question. That's going to be them presenting it and also some public input. So what I suspect for us is always crime fighting, the numbers that we do with community engagement activities like I just showed you, the number of felony arrests that we make. It's going to be tracking those further through the system. Here's the thing. I don't think anybody should be able to hide. And I've been told, I called out the judges and I called out the magistrates, we'll get used to it. This is my last year. If there are other people to call out, including myself, I shall do so. It's why thank you. It's why I'm here. But the truth of it is, I'm just talking about accountability. Y'all put it on me. I said, let's share it. Let's mean it. Accountability is nothing should be done in secret that impacts your safety. So some of those data points are yet to be determined. I'm not here to determine them. They have to put their own flesh in the game.
Chief, do you think we'll see the impact from the electronic monitoring device program change that was initiated late this year? Do you think that'll have effect?
I know one effect is there will be no excuse for releasing people who are charged with homicide on EM. I can tell you that's 100% sure.
Chief, you outlined at someone, for good reason, a lot of the good work that was done in 2019 by community, by police as well. And at the same time, the numbers were the numbers, but they were distressing. So you're doing all of that. What more? What's the strategy for 2020? I mean, or is that the new norm?
Well, I can tell you, I highlighted it a little bit. I think, though, what I respect is strong leadership, right? Because you're looking at just 2019. You're not even talking about 2018 anymore, when 50-plus people lost their lives to homicide. We almost doubled it in 2019, so it became a big story to you. What I say is, what are you going to do in 2020 to roll up your sleeves to make that impact? I think we're doing some fantastic work that's going to pay dividends 5 and 10 years down the road. The reason I talk about leadership is the mayor has a strategy that is not just for 2020. It can be for 2030. Our problem is we did this in the 90s, and we took our eye off the ball, and here we are again, so shame on us. I can tell you, from a policing standpoint, our people are doing some fantastic work. I highlighted some of the community work. Now it's time to fund that work, scale it up, and continue to reduce the numbers that way. That's the only way to do it. You got to maintain. Because if we're down by 50% this year, and in 2021, when y'all are talking to whoever your police chief is about what happened to us, shame on you. We as an organization, we as a community have more work to do. And the point is, you got to be strategic in how we do it. I think the mayor has a good plan for that.
Chief, we heard about the 4 hotspot areas in that city report. Can you talk about, will any changes be coming to those 4 areas from the police perspective now that we have a little more information about the characteristics of those areas?
So again, it's strategic. What we're going to do is respond to the highest crime types there, but we're also going to engage with community members, some of whom I highlighted earlier, and it's going to be this dual work. The issue, though, is we have to be able to scale that proactive work up to prevent crimes in the first place. I don't know that you'll see more from us that will be visible as much as you'll see more engagement from the community that you can then actually do ride-alongs with them that without us checking your backgrounds and making sure you haven't committed any crimes recently. I think it's a better opportunity for you to really see the work, but you need to see it from the community's perspective this time. You might not see as much visibly change from us.
You spoke about the RNC coming up, going to be obviously very busy with protesters. There was someone arrested for protesting at UNCC with a megaphone.
Yes.
Is that how that's going to be handled when the RNC comes? Are there plans for how protesters, probably with megaphones, will be handled?
If you violate the law, we're going to hold you accountable. No question about it. Absolutely, that's what we're going to do. The issue is we have a permitting process that you must abide by, and if you're in violation of noise, then we're going to hold you accountable. I would not be surprised to see if that happens more in the future. Wouldn't be shocked at all.
Chief, aside from community tips, Crime Stoppers, that type of thing, what else can and will CMPD do about the issue of illegal firearms, which I understand are used commonly in these homicides we're seeing?
Well, what more can we do besides take off 2,100 off the street? We can't keep people from making them. I think the issue is going to be bigger than us. I think we've committed and we're doing every year more and more from a law enforcement end. I think the question could come back to the public. That's not really a question for us to answer. I don't make laws, we enforce them. And our officers did a fantastic job doing that this year.
Chief, are there any efforts being made to make sure body cameras are working properly?
Yes.
Can you talk about what
I mean, that's a pretty broad question. We review about 1,000 hours a month. We have a whole team that does it. We've committed a whole chain to that work. We're expanding and being more specific in how we do that from a administrative end, meaning we're going to review the results of those because you start first, you see what the issues are, then you start to tighten up on some of the repeat issues that you see, and there'll be more of that this year. Again, most of that it's already underway. There's an accountability component already baked into that system, so we're going to continue doing that work.
For some of the award money for...
Who are you with, by the way? Are you just somebody that just showed up today? Who is this? Okay, go ahead, ma'am. I just want to know who I'm talking to.
I'm Katie.
Hey, Katie. Kerr, good to meet you.
The other day, we received news that there would be a $21,000 reward for anyone with information that led to the arrest of someone in the Scott Brooks case.
Yes.
How does that figure compare to other unsolved cases? And where exactly does that money come from? I know that some of it is FBI funds, right?
Yes, it is. It's a mixture. It's FBI, Crime Stoppers, and then sometimes members of the public. We've had that in the past, too. It's significantly more than normal for a homicide. And here's the issue. This is why I talk about the numbers. It bothers me that we're going to put more value on any given life. We've got 107 people, 107 families decimated, so I don't get into that as much as saying it's a significant amount because some of these crimes shock the conscience, and that's one of them.
Chief, it's Human Trafficking Awareness Month. South Carolina just released data that shows there's a huge spike in cases in there. Can you talk about what CMPD is seeing as far as that?
Yes. What I can tell you is it's been gradual but increasing, and our task force continues to do a lot of good work with our federal partners to prevent that. I think where we're weaker is having some of the community partners. We have quite a few who can then engage some of the young people to once you get them, once you find out what's going on, you need to be able to break that cycle because there's a comfort level in having someone support you, someone you can lean on for finances, as negative as it might sound. And until you get that support system, which is where we're weaker, they continue to be a part of that. So yes, it is increasing across the nation really, and here locally as well. And we got to get better at preventing that by having a support system. All right? Yes, sir. You have another one I can tell if they don't look on your face.
As CMPD, kind of related to that one, have you identified hotspots for human trafficking? Is that continue to be
Not as much because it's terminology. It's like carjacking and human trafficking. They're terms that people place on these crimes. For us, it's simply prostitution. That's how we find out about it. And we go at it that angle. Then when we see it's more of a systemic issue or somebody's actually doing this and doing it at a more widespread basis is when it gets to that level. So for the most part, we don't see a significant increase in prostitution, but we do see a lot more connectedness to some of those crimes.
All right.
What are some of the key outcomes
Now,
that
you just gonna stand up here and ask me a question? You ain't even in the meeting. No, go ahead, sir. I'm kidding. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What are some of the key outcomes that you want us to focus in when it comes to
Love it.
community engagement?
Love it.
And some things what the youth want us to focus on?
Yeah.
What are some of those things?
All right, Jamal, and I didn't plant that question. For the record. Kind of like you, Katie. You just randomly stood up and asked one. It's pretty simple. If you do work and you want to collaborate, I told you equal accountability. And everybody who's ever worked with me knows what it is. If you're mentoring, everybody says, I want to mentor kids. If they're not reading on grade level, doing math on grade level, if you haven't impacted their behavior, meaning they're not having any more behavioral issues, and you're not impacting absenteeism, we're not talking. If kids are in school, they're graduating, they're becoming productive citizens, we have success. Otherwise, you don't deserve a penny to support you. Can't believe anybody clapped to that, but that's just my philosophy. Yeah, those are the outcomes. All right, anything else? Thank you all, I appreciate it.
Just a point of clarification, we see Officer Blake Page here on my left from the Public Affairs Office. He will have all of the relevant data for 2019 right down to the decimal points, and any questions with regard to that report, just follow up with any of us in the Public Affairs Office and we'll be sure to get back with you. Appreciate the turnout. Happy New Year.